it connects nicely to what we were talking about before of treating organic sounds versus synthetic sounds, that when you get synthetic sounds or you get heavily, because when you talk about organic versus synthetic or whatever, what you're really talking about is stuff that is either synthetic in that it's like a digital synth, or that's really processed already. Like a lot of drum samples, you don't need to do any compression on a lot of drums because the samples are so compressed. But then adding elements into the song that have some of that clipping, some of that distortion, some of that quote unquote bad sound from how I was trained to engineer and record onto tape machines, and you don't want to clip, you don't want to do that because so many things had natural clipping in it, and you're trying to avoid that stuff. And now it's like just add it everywhere. One of my favorite examples, who I think you know, we could talk about this forever and ever because there's so many amazing, interesting, innovative things he's done. But Kanye's vocals, especially in 808s and Heartbreak, when he really found that, like, and it's a combination of auto-tune and SansAmp and delay
and no reverb.
And reverb, and
just dry.
Right, and no reverb, but having that weird delay on it, and the way that they would automate up distortion on certain lines. It's just a very similar effect to what you're talking about. If you want to add a little extra intensity to the end of a line, just crank up the distortion or blend in a distorted.
It's the same theory as like adding a delay throw at the end of a phrase to fill holes, or verb throws, or flangers. Or it's the same thought process behind all of it. It's just what needs to be done to seamlessly move to the next line or next section. It's like it's all transitional moves that are just trying to blend together and create a journey and an arc, right? So these are all reasons for that. Exactly. That's a really good point. I mean, automating distortion loudly and boldly is a similar thing. It's the same idea as doing it subtly, to create a little bit of that lean in or pull back. Like, I want the listener to lean in. It's not just given to them all at first listen. Granted, top 40 radio, that's not always going to work. But I have a little bit more faith in humanity, not in attention spans, but in the willingness to listen for detail. I think like I just mixed a song that's coming out Friday. Awesome artist. I'm so excited for it to drop.
Awesome.
And it's 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Like, my favorite song on Top 40 right now, Mood, is 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And I ran it 8 times in a row the first time I heard it. So it's also the same producer that did that song. So it's like, what? Y'all just sticking around 210, 212, 215. But I love it. So, but within that 2 minutes and 12 seconds, I want to make you listen to more than just one thing. And I want to give you the option on Listen 8 to hear something you haven't heard before. So that's why I do these moves. It might be selfish. Maybe it's just for me. But I think other people can hear that.
I know. I think it's huge. And this is the overlap between producing and mixing, because a lot of people who are producing are doing mixing things, and people who are mixers often are making production decisions. Whatever the overlap, whatever you want to call it, you can put distortion on the end of a line of a vocal and make it really obvious and in your face and exciting.
Yeah.
Or you can do it subtly, where it doesn't feel like a big obvious dynamic change, but you feel it, and you feel a little more intensity. It's like automating up the downbeat of a chorus, where it just hits a little harder.
Exactly.
Where it's not obvious. You're not adding a big boom, a big like vengeance impact or something, but you're adding.
Are those still happening?
Whatever. I mean, things like that, right? There's impacts and things all the time, but maybe you're just automating up a little bit so the chorus just has a little extra punch to it that you'll never notice until you actually, if you're somebody else, you're bringing up somebody else's mix and you see like, oh, there's a little more bump and low end there. Those things are great, whether they're subtle or intentional or deliberate. But yeah, hugely interesting topic.